Hey guys, what's up? JK with PornReboot here, and today I'm going to be talking about a topic that is actually a result of a question that I receive a lot. And that question is, should I visit an escort while I'm in recovery? Now, there are two types of men who ask this question, and the first are men who read somewhere that having sex during your reboot actually helps with the rewiring process. Unfortunately, these are usually men who may not have access to sex. They may not be in a relationship. They may be from a culture where it's unacceptable to have sex before marriage or have sex with a woman that you're not married to. Or they just don't have the skill set that it takes to have sex. Basically, they haven't worked on it. So visiting an escort starts becoming a logical option because you have these sexual needs that you need to fulfill. I'm going to give you my honest thoughts on that. And bear in mind that this is coming from somebody who, during his reboot, was unable to have sex. I was hopeless at attracting women. I had no idea what it took to go from meeting a woman and being social with her to actually having sex. In fact, I think I repulsed more women than I actually attracted into my life. So just bear in mind that I wasn't some stud who had access to sex or who was in a relationship during the first few years of my recovery. The first important thing to note is that visiting with an escort and having sex with an escort does not equate to intimacy. And I think some guys are missing the mark when it comes to having sex during your reboot. It's important, in my opinion, to be active sexually during your reboot. I don't think it's a requirement, but I do think it helps. And one of the ways that it actually helps is biologically, because you then have the experience of rewiring your brain to having sex with a woman. You know what it feels like to have sex with a woman. Your body becomes sensitized to that. You move from being sensitized to your palm to being sensitized to a vagina. You learn how to be intimate with a woman, and you rewire your brain to release oxytocin, which is a bonding neurochemical, and you start feeling what it's like to actually get to know a woman on a deeper level, which you are not able to do when you're just viewing women having sex with men on a screen, okay? Some men may argue that if you believe that having sex with an escort equates intimacy, then there's a little problem there. First of all, a prostitute, an escort, a sex worker is somebody who is providing a service. It's a business. You know, there's a demand and they are providing you with the supply, which is sex. And if you visit with an escort and you come out of that experience once or several times, feeling that there's something special between both of you, that there's some sort of connection, then all that means is that that sex worker is really good at what she does. Because one of her jobs is to get repeat clients. And all she's doing is making you feel that you are special. So whatever intimacy you think you're getting from her, even if you actually get intimate and she's really good and you connect with her, all right, understand that that's not the same level of intimacy that you're going to get from a woman that you're actually dating. This woman is obligated to be intimate with you because you're paying her money. Maybe you pay for a girlfriend experience. Maybe you're a sugar daddy and you can afford it, and you pay for a trip for her, and you know, she comes out and she hangs out with you, but understand that it is still a transaction, and without the finances, is she going to give that to you? It's unlikely. There are also a lot of things that she's going to put up with that a woman who is not obligated to be with you is not going to put up with. So I think that's the first thing to understand. I already know that there are men who visit escorts, and in your head, you're probably thinking now, like, oh no, like I'm her regular customer. She tells me I satisfy her. Maybe you even give her an orgasm, right? So what? It's still a business transaction. Understand that this woman has other people in her life who are important to her, not you. And those people don't pay her money, all right? It's still a transaction. She's just doing a great job. it's not going to help you in your reboot. And I'm going to give you a few more reasons why. And these are just my opinions on it. My professional opinion is also included in this because I've helped many men move from the point of not just being addicted to pornography, but also being addicted to escorts, to getting into normal, healthy relationships. A second thing to consider is that when you start visiting escorts, especially during your reboot, it makes it more challenging for you to meet the women that you want to in the future. And by meet, I literally mean meet, date, get into an intimate relationship with. Because think about it, you're conditioning your brain to equate sex, the sex you want, whatever type of service you're paying for, anal sex, oral sex, whatever crazy experience that you want to have, all it takes is money. It's currency that gets you there. So when you've conditioned your brain to do this so many times, your brain gets into a state of homeostasis. It is comfortable with this. Why would it want to change to something challenging? Why would it want to go from sitting down and getting on your phone and hitting up your favorite escort to actually getting up and going out to a bar and meeting a woman, or getting out and being social and building a social circle, or building a new hobby, or even going through whatever it takes these days to get on a dating app and build a connection with a woman and get her number and meet her in person? Why would you want to do all that work? So homeostasis is going to kick in, and that's going to hold you back in the future. Some men, in the moment, as they visit with prostitutes, as they visit with escorts and sex workers, and it becomes a habit, I know you're sitting there justifying it. I know you're going like, yeah, but I still pull girls once in a while. Some of you are in relationships, some of you are married and still think you've got some game, and you feel that you'll always be able to get women because in addition to prostitutes and escorts, you're still able to meet women. I guarantee you that over time, as you get older, it will become more challenging. And most of the men who think this way are usually under the age of 35, okay? One thing I've noticed is for many men, when they start hitting the age of 35, it gets thinner in the crowd of men who are single around that age because most men are going to get married. It becomes more difficult to make friends. It becomes more difficult to build your social circle. And if you're not one of those socially savvy men who can make friends anywhere he goes, who is comfortable breaking out of homeostasis again and again socially, you're going to find yourself in a difficult place. Just because you're 31, 32 and you feel you're at your peak and you're single and you can have sex with prostitutes and you can meet women, that does not mean that after 35 that is still going to be the case. All that's going to happen is you're going to just start spending more money to attract women. And that's going to make you unhappy because you will quickly realize that many of the women that you're spending your time with have no interest in real intimacy with you. And that is very common in many of my clients who are in their late 20s and early to mid 30s. Those who are very successful. You run your own business, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're very busy, there's very little time for you to socialize. But you spent so many years, especially those years where you were grinding and building up your practice or building up your business, you spent all those years visiting escorts or flying off to developing countries to spend a week or a month to be a sex tourist. Because of all those habits, it's going to become very challenging for you to meet a woman and develop a true sense of intimacy with them. In fact, many men who are in their late 20s, mid 30s, single, successful, one of the biggest complaints I have from them is actually one of the biggest bitching I have from them, because y'all bitch about this a lot. That's the truth. It's like, oh, American women are this and all the women online, they're just using me, I can't connect with them. Dude, you desensitized yourself. You got spoiled because you were flying out to Mexico, you were flying out to the Philippines, you were going wherever it is that y'all go to have all these premium experiences, and you had no intimacy and you took it for granted. Now you're back in whatever Western country you are, in the UK, in the US, in Canada, in Australia, and you're finding it very challenging to meet women. And so you complain a lot because these women are not giving you what you think women should give you. Your sense of entitlement was developed by your habits with escorts. One more thing to bear in mind is that visiting escorts, sex workers during your reboot or at any other time promotes sex trafficking. Now, I have nothing against escorts and I have nothing against sex workers. I believe that they have to do what they have to do to survive, and many of them choose to do that. I have no judgment in that area. However, understand that globally, sex trafficking is fueled by a demand. And the latest demand is not just men's sexual appetites, it is pornography. Pornography and the things that men want to do. Understand that the more pornography you watch, the more you need novelty. You want to have different sexual experiences. And increasingly, Western women, or the women wherever you are, who are looking for a relationship or just looking for a casual sexual relationship, are not going to be into many of the things that you are into, because those things are unrealistic expectations set up by pornography. So you're going to have to go to places where you can have those fantasies fulfilled. Again, even in those areas, do women want to fulfill those fantasies? No, porn is not real. They don't want to do that. But if they live in a place where there's a lot of demand, and of course there's going to be demand when foreign sex tourists visit developing countries or third world countries, and they have a strong currency. So women are now forced to do that. And when I say forced, it happens in different ways. Sometimes a woman has no choice but to do that because that's the only way she can survive. But sex trafficking is a whole nother topic on its own, and it goes deep. Women are kidnapped, women are coerced, women are manipulated into becoming sex workers in different countries. Women travel to different countries because they feel that there's going to be a job opportunity for them there, or they were promised a job opportunity or promised a modeling gig, and they feel they're going to make it there, they're going to make some money. Instead, they show up, they have their passports seized from them, and they are forced to become sex slaves. And you meet them, and for those of you who travel and meet these women, you think that they're doing it willingly, but you have no idea that they're being held ransom because they cannot leave and go back to their country. They have no choice but to perform for you. And even if you're not an individual who has visited an escort, you may be headed there by the type of pornography you watch. You may be watching pornography that is of Johns, of people who patronize escorts, just their videos of their sexual exploits. And seeing that makes you think, like, you know what, maybe I should just go ahead and do that. I have worked with many successful clients who are married or who are engaged and who they want to have certain sexual experience with their fiance, their wife, their girlfriend. She won't give it to them. And they're not socially savvy enough, and they don't have what it takes to go out there and meet women. So they start having these fantasies about, hey, why don't I just fly to Thailand, fly to Brazil, fly to Mexico, fly to wherever, and just have these sexual experiences with no connection. So understand that somebody is probably suffering because of what you're doing. And I know you have your own story that you're telling yourself. Oh, I'm helping them have a better life. They might be dead if I wasn't there paying money. That's a moral decision for you to decide. I am not deciding your morals, and I am not judging you. I'm just letting you know that there is another human being somewhere, actually millions of human beings, who are suffering as a direct result of a demand that you are a part of, and I at one time was a big part of because of my porn use. Next is visiting escorts makes you view women more as objects. When you have sex with an escort, you can pretty much do almost anything you like. And once you keep doing it, understand that there are only two things that are now a part of your sexual experience. One is pornography and one is escorts. And when you actually meet women and you want to be in a relationship with them, you want to have sex with them, you want to experience intimacy with them, you are going to come up against a barrier. And that barrier is the human side of this woman. That's going to make you angry because you're used to doing something a certain way. You may love the woman, you may care for the woman, you may want to be intimate with her, but the minute you're aroused sexually, immediately she becomes an object because you don't know how to have sex that includes intimacy. And so you're always going to come up against that issue. The great thing is there are many courageous men who reach out to me and they're like, JK, I've noticed this is an issue. I've met a woman that I want to marry. I'm ready to get into a relationship with her. And the amazing thing is that I realize that I love this woman. I want to have kids with this woman. I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman. But I realize that when I have sex with her, I start treating her as an object. And something is wrong there. Can you help me change this? I realize that this comes from my conditioning from pornography. And the final thing is that this is a waste of money. Those of you who have known me for a while know that this is an issue that's close to my heart because I was absolutely broke and I struggled very much financially because of my addiction to pornography, because that was my number one priority, was just medicating all the pain that I had with porn and masturbation. And that left me in a terrible place on the socioeconomic ladder. It's a horrible place to be, and spending money on escorts, in my opinion, is a huge waste of time. All that money that you're spending on escorts is things that you could do on investing in yourself, investing in a business. And if we go back to investing in yourself, is basically working on those things that will make you the type of man who can get the type of women that, or rather who can attract the sort of women that you want in your life. It's much more fulfilling to become that man so that you can go out into the world and just have intimate relationships with that one woman if you're that type of man, or those women. Why not work on yourself? Why not grow and invest in yourself? Why would you throw money away and then your only relationship with women is connected to cash? That's a ridiculous way to live. This is 2019. It's an amazing time to be a man. I know that there are a lot of negative things that are going on in the world, but at the same time, it's not like we're living hundreds of years ago where it was your property or your net worth or all the material things that you had to offer to women that made you attractive. You know, these days women can get the things that they want. So you have, granted the competition, the reality is the competition is higher. You have to become a specific type of man, but it's much better for you to spend the time becoming an elite man, a high value man, than it is to just spend cash on sex. All right, so I personally think that it's dumb to do that. That's my opinion on that issue. So those are my thoughts on whether you should visit an escort or not. I think it's pretty clear cut where I stand on the issue. Now, for those of you who've been wondering, JK, I've heard you talk about your system in a few videos and I'd like to learn about it, but I don't want to spend too much time. You can learn about it in my ebook, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men, and there's a link to it in the description below. And if you want to speak to me, specifically if you've been trying to quit porn for a while and maybe you've tried different things and you just feel like something's missing because you keep slipping or you keep relapsing. You're like, JK, can you help me put together a plan? Or can you look at my plan and maybe I can make some suggestions on some things you can change, some coping skills that you might be able to add, perhaps some limiting beliefs that you're not aware of. If you want to talk to me, go ahead and request a call. There's a link to it below the link to the ebook in the description below. And let's set up a time to have a quick chat about what's going on in your life and let's see if I can help you set up some sort of reboot plan. All right, so I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle, and I'll see you on the brighter side of this journey. Have a great day.